Hi, I'm Anna, and this is Misty Mountain Reads. I talk about books, and I normally drink lots of coffee. I actually had a ton of coffee before making this video, so for the sake of maintaining my caffeine intake, I will not be drinking coffee in this video today. Today, I'm going to be reading a letter to my younger self about books and reading in general, and it's mostly things that I wish someone had told me when I was younger, and I hope that maybe you all can find some value in it as well. For a bit of context, I was struggling to come up with a topic for this video simply because I was having a really hard time reading. For the past 2 weeks, I was really struggling with a huge book that was really slow. And I did eventually get through it, but I also ended up quitting another book at the same time. So I finished a huge one, quit another one, and that was my first one that I did not finish for this whole year. And I felt myself starting to fall into a slump. So I took a moment to do some introspection as I was planning this video, like, what do I want to talk about? And why am I struggling with reading right now? So I did some thinking, and I think it comes down to I have these internal standards that I set for myself when I read and when I think about books in general. And those are standards that I have subconsciously set for myself that no one else is holding me to, nor should I be holding myself to them. And I just kind of took a moment and wrote down my thoughts, and I've positioned it as a letter to my younger self. What I wish someone had taken the time to tell me when I was younger. So I decided to share it with you all because I don't know, maybe someone needs to hear what I needed to hear, and maybe it will help you as well. So I'm going to be reading it. It's kind of long-ish. And I know that reading is not the most engaging thing on camera, but I think that it will be a lot more easier to follow, a lot easier to understand if I do that. And I'm going to try to make eye contact with my camera alone in my bedroom, which is not awkward at all, while reading. So just bear with me, and I hope that it's helpful for you. And I really have enjoyed making these videos, so I just wanted to kind of encourage you as I try to encourage myself, I guess. So yeah, let's get into it. Dear previous Anna, or whoever is watching this video, I've started this letter over lots of times because there's so much I want to tell you about your future. But that would be spoilers, right? And for all the plot twists, it's worth experiencing it fresh. But above all, I want you to know that you are not alone. True, you will always have books. But more importantly, there are people out there like you, people you just haven't met yet, who also find escape between worn pages. There are people out there who won't laugh at your imagination. There are people who also find solace in the worlds of fantasy, and you will find them. One day, you will realize that you have a voice worth hearing. I know that you just laughed at that, but you will discover that people want to hear your opinion, and your opinion matters. It always has. You have always believed books are the truest of friends. They will never betray you. And that's true. Read after read, they may reveal more of themselves, but the words never change. They don't judge you, and you shouldn't judge yourself. Well, at least not for reading. We'll talk about some of your questionable fashion choices in 2008 later. But your ability to read, to enjoy books, and find escape in fantasy realms is a beautiful thing. Speaking of finding escape, what you read and how you read it are between you and your imagination. You don't have to read classics to be taken seriously as a reader. People are going to tell you that, and you should not listen to them. Here's a minor spoiler. You're going to be infuriated by a few people in college who think they're superior because they only read real literature. Well, I looked it up, And the definition of literature is written works, especially those considered of superior lasting artistic merit. So, as I see it, if a book has lasting artistic merit for you, then it's literature for you. It doesn't matter if it was written a century ago or last week. If it means something to you, it has value. And even if it doesn't mean something to you, it may have value for someone else, and that means that it's just as important. The emotional worth of a book is not determined by its age or popularity. It's determined by how it makes you feel, and whether or not you enjoy those emotions. Stories are meant to be shared. They're also meant to be enjoyed. Now, enjoying a book doesn't mean that it was an easy read. But it's okay to give up when you don't like a book. It's more than okay. It's called having boundaries. It's also okay to read to just escape. You don't have to only read books that challenge you to think critically. Those books are important and they are needed. But if that's all you ever read, you're going to get burned out. It's exhausting to constantly tackle hard topics and something you do for enjoyment. Let yourself enjoy it. Let yourself escape. And then take on a more challenging book when you're mentally and emotionally ready. Again, boundaries are important, even when reading. And my dear sweet summer child, you won't ever manage to escape if you keep comparing yourself to others. I still don't know how people manage to read several hundred books in a year. That doesn't have to be you. Reading doesn't have to be your top priority for it to be important to you or to be something that you enjoy. You're not giving up if you enjoy other things, and you're not less of a reader if you want to read popular books or fantasy books or spicy books or any other kind of book. You're also not less of a reader if you prefer a different medium like audiobooks or ebooks or graphic novels. There's no spectrum or scale. There's no hierarchy. People will disagree with you on that. People will gatekeep reading. Now imagine that. There will be a day when someone will tell you you're not a real bookworm because you don't dog-ear your books or write in them. Yes, someone said that to me. It's going to sting. It really did. But it's not true. It's not true. Don't ever let anyone steal your joy of reading. Remember, you're not alone. Your voice matters, and your story matters. And speaking of your story, write it. Just write it. You've started and stopped so many times. Don't let fear of rejection keep you from trying. That's a fear of a maybe. Fear of a thing that may never even happen. Because I know there's someone out there who will love your story. Actually, there's a particular someone who's sitting across from me as I write this, who I know will love your story. You haven't met him yet, but he's going to be your biggest fan. So just sit down, block out the real world, and create your own, because your voice matters. So let's sum things up. Invest in a bookshelf. Several, actually, because one day you're going to find that people want to hear you talk about books. And I know that sounds crazy, because most of the time right now they're telling you to shut up. But don't forget to read for yourself. Read for that young girl who daydreamed of marbled castles and swords flashing in battle and a first kiss that makes your toes curl. And read for the future you. Read for the one who has a story to tell and a voice to be heard. Yeah, so that's kind of what I wish someone had talked to me about when I was younger. And obviously I could have never known that I was going to find a book community on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. I didn't know those things existed. And I certainly would have never believed you if you had told me that people would want to follow along as I rambled. But I'm glad that I'm here, and I'm glad that I don't feel alone in my love of books anymore. So I hope that you feel encouraged by that, and I hope that you feel supported in your reading journey, because I think that that is important to everyone. I know this was a little bit more sentimental and slow and probably not as engaging as my other videos hopefully were, but I really felt like I needed to just speak from the heart for a moment, and I hope that you enjoyed it. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.